German-Korean relations today are first of all very friendly, and if we look at the last 15 years, we see both in the political context with G20 membership, but also in the economic sector, where the trade between two countries is increasing every year, has doubled, more than doubled within the last 12 years. Investment of Korean companies like LG, Samsung, Hanwha in Germany, but also investment by many German companies here in Korea. And here you see just some of them. All of you have certainly seen German cars on the streets, but you also have companies like Bosch, like Merck. In every display that you have back home or you're watching at the moment, there is Merck inside in terms of liquid crystals. You have Siemens, which has been a very important company, BASF, Bayer, and others. So German industry is one of the biggest investors here in Korea, and German companies are very happy to be here and to work with your countries and with your fellow countrymen. What is important for us now is to promote exchange between young people, promote exchange between high school students, promote exchange at university level, mostly at master students level, and to promote research cooperation between our two countries. That is the real challenge. Partnership for excellence. This is what Korea and Germany should do in the future. And so we are investing heavily, and every year organizing a big conference here in Korea about natural sciences, about engineering this year, in order to bring more German engineers here and more Koreans to Germany to study engineering. Generally speaking, Germany has developed into a very open country. And if you look worldwide, we are now number 3 in terms of foreign students. So 300,000 foreign students are studying in Germany, which is roughly 11% of all our students. From Korea, from your country, we have roughly 5,000 students, which is a very good figure. There's only one point which is not really satisfactory. We need more engineers and more people in natural sciences to come for their master studies and then go back to their country. And also we need more Korean Germans to come here. The reason is more and more companies are coming here and doing research here in Korea, and they need educated people that know both cultures. And also more and more research between German research institutions and Koreans are taking place. So we need people that know both cultures, and we hope that more will come in both directions. German culture, this is what all of you know, of course. This is what people associate with Germany. It's beer, it's the October Festival, and this is the map of breweries in Germany, which is quite extensive. But I should tell you, there is more about partying in Germany. And this is Carnival. There is not only Carnival in Rio, there is also Carnival in Cologne, the Rhine Carnival. And all along in February, March, for 3 to 4 weeks, there is like a 4th season. And this 4th season is the Carnival season, where at least for 1 week or 2 weeks, the rules are not applied as usual. And this is the Carnival parade, which is taking place in Cologne. And there is one special day for women. On that day, the women are only allowed to ask the men to dance with them, and the women are always going out on their own. So this is what we call Weiberfasching, which is the women carnival. And that is now Berlin, the capital, and the capital where the mayor said a couple of years ago, we are poor, but we are sexy. And Berlin has become the mecca of young people, for young people in Europe, but actually from all over the world. Many Americans are coming to Berlin, are living there in Berlin right now. And this is just one of the many pictures that you could do there. There was a big parade called Love Parade, which was held annually, which is not done anymore. There is a special carnival, which is called Carnival of Cultures. And if I ask my sons, to go out in Berlin is like going out in Hongdae or in Itaewon here tonight. So they go out at 11 usually, come back at 5, go to many clubs, have a very interesting time. And so for young people, this is a very exciting place. Just like Seoul, by the way. It's not only cars, it's not only chemistry, it's not only machines. Today, textiles and fashion has become a major product of German culture. Here you see the Fashion Week from Berlin, which is new design. Usually this is where much of the design starts. Then if the designers really want to earn a lot of money, they tend to go somewhere else. But the startup scene for design and for modern fashion is in Berlin. And someone has discovered that already, and that is the mayor of Seoul. Since there are two big fairs. One is Fashion Week and one is Bread and Butter. And the Bread and Butter Week that has been held until now in Berlin for young designers, that has now come to Seoul. And so from next year or in 2 years' time, then Seoul will each year hold the Bread and Butter Week. If we look at music, I'm surprised there are quite a number of German bands and DJs present here. Also, they don't have the same prominence like your K-pop stars, but Rammstein has been here a number of times. Paul van Dyk, he's a famous DJ. He is here right now, or these several times these days. David Garrett has been here recently. And if you look into the other direction, perhaps the most famous Korean artist, or best known in Germany, is Baek Nam-joon, who is the first real video artist. And actually he lived for almost 20 years at the Art University in Düsseldorf. And he worked very closely with one of the most famous modern German artists, Joseph Beuys. If we look at sports, then soccer, there's a close relation. I should have actually brought this soccer ball, which is signed by Franz Beckenbauer and Cha Bum-gun, which I have at home. But I should mention that Cha Bum-gun, he is really still today quite famous as a player in Germany. And he has now his successor with Song Heung-min, who is playing for a German, for Bayer Leverkusen, and who is doing a great job. Now apparently the Koreans have seen, you have seen how Germany did the soccer championship, which was a kind of typical German exercise, since it started in 2001, preparation for the soccer championship in 2014. So the whole strategy was a strategy over 13 years to build up a new group, to bring in new people, and to have a new type of training, computer-based training, and so on and so forth. And in that sense, it's a typical way of how the Germans are acting. And of course, then somehow Korea must have thought we should have a German coach. So the new soccer coach here is a German, Uli Stielicke, who is quite well known. He also trained Real Madrid. One of the elements which are really posing a challenge for us is demography. That's very similar to Korea. We have difficulty to maintain the level of our population, which is 82 million people, since we only have an average birth rate of 1.32, 1.34, which is too low. Now we are taking a lot of efforts in terms of family policy, but in reality we are not capable of really coping with this demographic challenge. And so what happened in the last years is that we have started a more active migration policy. And now every year there are 1.2 million people migrating into Germany. And last year we had 500,000 people more coming into Germany than leaving Germany. And with such a situation, it was the first year after almost 10 years of losing population that Germany has stabilized. And Germany is now in a situation, if we maintain this kind of policy, to look also, as far as this challenge is concerned, into a bright future. So I should like to invite all of you to come to Germany as a tourist, or to come to Germany as a student, especially in master courses. It is an exciting country, it's a very modern country, and Koreans are very much welcome in our country. Thank you very much for your attention. 경청해 주셔서 대단히 감사합니다. 질문 있어요? Don't be afraid.
What's very impressive to Koreans is Germany welcomed by the rest of the Europe after the end of the Second World War. Could you say something about the effort made by German politicians and common people to reconcile their ties with other European countries to be welcomed again, past the unfortunate past, and move forward with the rest of the Euro toward a common future?
Thank you very much. It's interesting to compare the situation at the end of World War I and the end of World War II. Since at the end of World War I, everybody said that Germany was responsible for this war, and they put a very heavy burden on Germany in terms of reparations. And that was a very heavy burden for the Republic at that time. A burden which one of the reasons why Germany didn't develop well, and one of the reasons why the second attempt to build the nation went wrong again. Now this was not the same after the Second World War. Germany was separated into four parts, four sectors as I mentioned. But the Allies behaved quite friendly towards Germany. And the Americans, for example, they gave a lot of help to Germany to rebuild the country. And the Germans, on one hand, they knew we have started the war. It were our politicians that started the war. That was crystal clear. And therefore, it was very easy for us to apologize, since there was no doubt whatsoever. And the Germans were deeply shocked about the cruelty, about all the crimes that have been committed during the Nazi time, as far as the Jewish Holocaust, the Jewish people are concerned. So people were deeply shocked, and there was no question about responsibility and who caused what whatsoever. Then, when the nation started being rebuilt, if you look into history, there have always been wars between Germany and France. Like early 19th century, Napoleon fought a war against Germany, which was actually one of the reasons why Germany started to be united. Then later, 3 times, Germany started a war against France. So there were 2 very responsible politicians on the German and on the French side who took leadership, and they said, we do not want to repeat this again. And that was Adenauer and de Gaulle. So there was a very strong leadership, but there was also a very strong conviction by German people that they want to become friends with French people, and vice versa. But of course we depended very much on the fact that the French people, or later the Polish people, were willing to forgive us. It always took 2. So they decided, okay, we are ready to become friends with the Germans. Also, they have attacked us 3 times within 100 years. Only we don't want them to have this kind of armaments industry and steel and coal industry at their national disposal. And this is how the European Union started. That the German coal and steel industry was kind of internationalized in the European Community for Coal and Steel, which was then joined by others. And it was under European administration. And from this nucleus, since this nucleus worked, then there was development into the European Economic Community and the European Union. If you look at Poland later in 1971, 1972, of course Germany has behaved very badly. Not only we attacked Poland in 1939, but also the way how we occupied the country and how we treated Polish people was horrible. But the first step in this case, actually, for real reconciliation, came from the Polish bishops. The Polish bishops were the ones that wrote a letter already in the 1960s to the German bishops and say, we ask for your forgiveness and we are willing to forgive. And then there was a very long period where Germany helped Poland, where Poland was in a difficult situation. And so slowly but steadily, there's this famous gesture by Willy Brandt asking for forgiveness. Slowly but steadily, over actually 2-3 decades, the relationship between our people was rebuilt, and the confidence that has been built is existing as it now. Today, in terms of marriages among two countries, it's now, of new marriages, number one is German-Polish, and then number two is German-French. And this, of course, is an ideal world if you are German. It means that your people are really accepted. But again, I think for us it was so obvious that we were the wrongdoer. But for the Polish, it was a much bigger step to accept that the Germans will not behave in the future the same way they have done. And so the Polish were kind enough to accept our gestures and to cooperate with us, which was a very long way for them to go. So it seems it is our history where there were two world wars, which really made people learn. And the success of Germany today, which is the success also of European integration, is very much the experience of the 80 years of history before the foundation of our country.
I would like to ask a question about German reunification. I know that the situations are different between Korea and Germany at the time, before the time of reunification, and there were at least some level of communication between the East Germany and West Germany. But how would you analyze the situations on the Korean Peninsula, and how do you think South Korea can better prepare for reunification? Like, what can South Korea do better to promote the reunification?
Well, I'm looking at this from the perspective, of course, of the German experience. And the German experience, in essence, means that it took 20 years. From 1969, this is when Ostpolitik from Willy Brandt, and when the policy of détente between West and East started. It took 20 years until finally the wall came down. So it means it's really a long-term strategy, a bipartisan long-term strategy, which is needed to change such difficult situations. Again, if I look how the situation was changed, it was done in a broader European context, and that may be more difficult here in Asia. It was done in a more broader European context, since the whole process of détente was not only one between West and East Germany, it was one between Western Europe and Eastern Europe. It even included détente between the United States and the Soviet Union. And in that context, we were able to build a common understanding between East and West on human rights, on freedom of press, on democracy, a kind of understanding which led to the Helsinki Final Act, which is the document that all those that protested and that wanted reform in Eastern Europe were able to argue for. If you look at the German context, then there was a steady process of increasing cooperation between the two countries, including by financial assistance from West Germany to East Germany, albeit never any assistance without, let's say, also receiving something from the East. But this kind of cooperation, of people-to-people contact, of economic cooperation over an extended period of 20 years, this led to a situation where the fence became more and more holes, where the East Germans could learn more and more about West Germany, and where interaction between the two countries was such that the East Germans really knew what is going on in West Germany, and they could take a decision, since they would have an idea about what really West Germany is. Now, if you look into Korea, on one hand, the overall, let's say, geopolitical situation may not be the same kind of détente as we had it between East and West. But on the other hand, Germany, even during unification, was still not a fully sovereign country. We still needed the agreement of Soviet Union, US, UK and France for German unification. And we had always to be afraid that Soviet Union might decide to forbid unification. In that sense, North Korea is, or Koreans are in a better situation, since North Korea is a fully sovereign and independent country. But the kind of policy, in my opinion, that President Park has been proposing with her Dresden speech, and the kind of idea to really rebuild ties between the two countries, slowly but steadily, from smaller to bigger projects, and thereby increasing the contact between people, increasing the contact between economy. This is the way, the exchange, where people can come closer together, where young Korean, not South Koreans, where you can for the first time perhaps see North Korean people and vice versa. I understand that there is very little interest, since you have no chance to see what is really going on. You cannot feel that they may be your brothers. And when I am born close to the French-German border. So for me, East Germany was very far away. I had no relatives there, and unification, just like for many of you probably, was not really such an issue close to my heart. But one issue was close to my heart and to my friend's heart, and that was that we wanted liberty, freedom for all Germans. And we were very, very happy to see that the East Germans in 1989 finally regained their freedom. That they then decided for unification is, from today's perspective, a lucky story, a happy story. But if they had decided to remain a separate country, that would have been okay for us as well. What really was important was freedom. From today's perspective, I would say that it's right, German unification was tabak for our country. Well, thank you very much for your attention. I really enjoy working here in Korea, working with Koreans. And I feel all German visitors that are coming here to your country, and it's more and more visitors every year. 10 years ago it was 50,000, now it's 100,000 Germans coming to your country. They are really fascinated, they are very positive about Korea. And from the Korean side, I know that there's a very high appreciation for Germany. So I would really hope that the kind of relation that we have seen between the elder generation, between your parents and my parents, will also become true for the young generation, that there will be a strong bond between you and young German people. It's a strong bond which we need, since, as I said, for you it's your brains, which is your capital. For us, it's our brains, that's our capital. So let's bring our brains together to build our future. Thank you very much.